Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
You ever have one of those days at work where you think, man, a bloody rampage might be good?
I did have one of those days today, actually, now that you mention it.
Great. We're on the same page. Fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to want to sit down and just have a little chat. It was
Hey, no problem.
Anything
Absolutely.
for the fans.
Oh, sure, yes.
I'll be expecting autographed boxer shorts.
What color did you want?
My favorite color is purple. So if we could work with a purple, I'll settle for red.
I think I got something.
Oh my god. I'm fucking leaving this in. There is no way I'm not starting the episode with that. Oh, are you cool with me jacking your outro for the episode outro, by the way? Just kind of as a funny.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, I don't want to, step on anybody's toes or anything like that.
Oh, no.
Because this is Let's Play serious business, I know.
Right, absolutely.
I don't need your lawyers on my back door,
Oh, my multiple lawyers? How many do you think I have?
Well, you're bringing in those big YouTube bucks.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. YouTube pays me so much money. That's why I had a bad day at work today.
So it's like the tier goes like PewDiePie, Ballerscuba, isn't that it?
Right, yeah. I'm between him and Sockscast, somewhere around there.
Oh, damn. You've set yourself up pretty well. You've got 2 or 3 yachts, I heard.
Oh, something like that, yeah. Out here in the desert.
Well, that's what rich people do. You just buy shit to have it, right?
Right, yeah. I haven't seen a boat in weeks. It's just not here.
Damn. I see boats all the time, but that's because I drive across a bridge every day, so... I will make up for all the boats that you don't get to see. That's my favor to you. That's payment for appearing on this dumb podcast. And welcome to yet another very special edition of the Sockscast. Because today, or, well, rather appropriately, tonight, the latest I've ever recorded an interview or anything of the sort, I am
Thanks for staying up late.
Time zones, fuck them. That's my thought on it. He's a Let's Playing machine you can tune into every freaking day, and there's new content all over his channel. I've been watching him for the last 2 or 3 years. Always just a nice thing to log into every day and catch new stuff from him. Welcome to the Sockscast, Ballerscuba.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being far too generous for appearing on this dumb thing. So how you doing? I heard we both had pretty shitty days at work.
That we did, yes, absolutely.
So it's the best thing you want to come home and do is sit down and talk to a random person on the internet you've never talked to before.
You know what? Doing anything for a channel or stuff always cheers me up. It really does.
Well, that's good. I'm going to be part of your help. By the end of this, you're going to be just brimming with excitement and vim and valor and vigor and all of those other fun words for the world around you.
Do I have to send you a check for the therapy session, or...
Nah, this was on the house. On the house.
Oh, sweet. The first one's free. The second one will cost me.
The first hit's always free.
All right.
That's how it goes. So, what are you into beyond because you're obviously, I know you from Let's Playing and gaming and things like that. So what do you do beyond Let's Playing and stuff for kind of hobbies or just ways to keep yourself amused?
Most of my time is spent in downtime outside of working and doing the Let's Play. So lots of TV, movies, comic books, anime, manga, that kind of stuff.
So you're like a professional media consumer.
Something like that. It feels like that. I definitely have an organized structure to it and everything.
You've got an organized structure for a lot of things we're going to hit on that kind of just always, that have always kind of taken me just like, wow, how does he do that and not go insane? Because I have OCD and I'm not that freaking organized.
Organization helps so much with this kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't do, especially the kind of stuff you do, without a lot of organization along the way. Yeah. So obviously, we're kind of a gaming podcast. Is there anything kind of about current gaming that's really blowing your skirt up or anything you're excited for? Or do you find that you're just kind of cool, keeping yourself entertained for mostly what you do for your channel and stuff?
Most of the stuff I'm happy with what I'm doing for the channel. There's a lot of it, so there's always some kind of variety that I'm bringing. I don't necessarily keep up to date with the newest things because oftentimes they're broken and need to be fixed over the next few months. So it always feels weird dropping the full price for half a game. Yeah,
absolutely. I've been burnt far too many times, you don't run into that case too much with smaller indie titles, I find, though. I find that those tend to run pretty well from the get-go.
As long as it's not a Kickstarter or an early alpha release.
God, don't ever, just stay away. For the longest time, we had a joke segment on this podcast, maybe ask my co-host, how's early access doing? And it would just always be a fart noise.
It's pretty close to that. I try to stay away from it. Every once in a while they'll hit gold, but most of it is just not playable.
Yeah, I think the only early access thing that I ever really had that turned out to just be amazing was Nuclear Throne, and that was it.
I can't say that I've seen that one.
Oh, the game's fantastic, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you all about my favorite games. Welcome to my podcast where I just bore you with all of my favorite things. Do you like Coheed and Cambria?
I've only heard a couple songs, so I can't say for sure.
You better have liked the ones you heard, fucker.
I did.
All right, good. You can still be on the podcast.
Sweet. I've earned my spot, finally.
Finally. So, what kind of, what era of games did you grow up in? Because I don't really know your age beyond, I could guess, but what did you grow up with?
So, I'm 30.
Okay.
So, I grew up mostly on the early days of Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my real childhood was. I hadn't a regular Nintendo growing up, but as soon as I got the Super Nintendo, my parents sold the old Nintendo, so I know very little about that kind of era type stuff. Most of it was Super Nintendo. Mostly, I'm 8, so I'm playing platformers and Mario knockoffs and stuff like that. And then when I turned 10 for my birthday, I got, or 10 or 11, something like that, I got Final Fantasy VII for my birthday, and then I've just been hooked on RPGs ever since. So,
that's a world changer of a game for sure.
Absolutely. So once I got that, then I purchased as many Final Fantasy games as I could, and luckily they were all being re-released on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So that's where I played almost all of the Final Fantasies, was based on the PlayStation versions of those games.
That version of Chrono Trigger with the loading, though. That's a little unfortunate. But it's got the cutscenes, at least.
It had the cutscene, right? But, yeah, the loading... I never played the RPGs actually on the Super Nintendo, so I didn't mind them. But then when I got older, I realized how much longer it took to get through the games because of it.
Yeah, definitely. But that's Chrono Trigger's still a quality ass game though. So even if you're playing kind of a janky version of it, it's still one of the best RPGs ever.
Exactly, yes. Still love that game.
So,
absolutely.
You got your start on YouTube commentating over StarCraft matches, correct?
Do I have to answer that?
Yes, you do. Like, the contract we signed is you have to answer. Yeah.
Yes, those videos do exist where I was doing StarCraft 2 commentaries. But in my defense, I still did them kind of like a Let's Play, kind of watching me doing my games progressively getting better throughout it. So you got to see me get decent at the game, good at best at the game over time, but it was rough when I started, absolutely.
So leapfrogging off of StarCraft, like, you kind of, like, have a love for kind of all things Blizzard, it seems. You've been to, like, BlizzCon, and I think you've done, like, a Let's Play of nearly every kind of, like, latter-day Blizzard game, and even gone back and hit some of those earlier Warcraft games, which, those are kind of rough.
Yes.
So, like, when did you kind of start noticing that, like, Blizzard was kind of your jam?
It was pretty early. I had Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and StarCraft 1. I had a few PC games. I was never good at them, but I adored StarCraft 1 in particular because of the custom maps that were available at the time. My favorite still were the Lurker Tower Defense maps.
Yes.
I absolutely loved those, and I would play those for days on end. And so it always had a special place for me. BlizzCon, to be honest, though, is probably about 5 blocks from where I am. And the first time that I went, I just bummed somebody else's ticket and walked in.
Wow.
They were outside. They're like, I'm done. Do you want in? Yes, I do.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. They're actually based about a half hour from here, and I've driven by the headquarters before. I don't know how much you pay attention to the channel, but I'll occasionally do videos with Buttercrust, Admiral Buttercrust.
Yes.
He's my cousin, so he also lives here. He knew somebody at Blizzard personally, and introduced me without telling me.
Oh,
that was
wow.
Great. So he ended up getting some perks from that. So the second year that we went to BlizzCon, it was mostly because of him. But that connection has now gone away, and that person quit Blizzard altogether. So we don't have any access, and we have to go in just like everybody else. But it really is down the street. I don't get a hotel or anything. I drive by the convention center when I go get coffee. So it really is right there. Well,
that's absolutely perfect because, I mean, hotels suck. Who wants to stay in a hotel anyway, especially during
those hotels? No.
Grody as hell, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely, you don't want to hang out in that particular area. It's right by Disneyland, though, so, if you want to hang out at Disneyland for the rest of the day, that'll work.
Not a bad little combo trip. Go to BlizzCon, get your StarCraft on, get your World of Warcraft on, and then go say hi to Mickey Mouse.
Exactly. It's literally across the street.
That's nice. That is nice. So how did you kind of make the transition from commentating over StarCraft videos to wanting to get into Let's Play? Was there anybody in particular that you were watching that made you kind of want to do more console-based things instead of just commentating over an RTS, or how did you make that transition?
Actually, it started the other way around.
Oh, really?
I always wanted to do Let's Plays.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a Let's Play fan first and foremost, but I was watching some StarCraft 2 commentators, and I thought this would be good practice for me before I actually started doing the Let's Plays themselves. So it was always the goal to transition over the Let's Plays at some point. So I was watching, I mean, if you guys want names, the biggest Let's Players for me were Necroscope86, Moogle FTW, HC Bailey, Choka Conroy, Proton John, SSOH PKC, almost all of which no longer make videos.
Yeah, of that variety anyway. Or
Right. And then I was starting to see StarCraft 2 commentaries from Husky StarCraft and Psy StarCraft and Day 9, and I can't remember the fourth guy, but I was watching them do it and becoming really successful doing that, and I thought that would be good practice for me to try to develop something similar to what they were doing, and try to get practice at talking over video games, which is still kind of an awkward thing.
It is weird.
It's when you sit down to do it, yeah.
Like you're talking into a void, essentially, or you're like trying to have a weird conversation with yourself, and it's just like, what is this weird? It's why I always bring co-coms along, because I suck at talking to myself.
The worst part is when you check to the recording afterwards and you find out it didn't work, so you spent literally an hour just talking to no one.
2.5 years, thank God, hasn't happened to me yet.
Really?
Haven't lost a podcast, haven't lost a stream, have not lost a Let's Play video. Thank God.
Man, I've lost so much. And then I have to go back and redo it, and it feels awkward because I feel like I'm making the same jokes over and over, and then it feels like I scripted it. So, yeah, so a lot of the StarCraft 2 commentaries, although they're not particularly something that I point at as the highlight of my channel, they are definitely something that helped me along to get where I am now.
And like you mentioned before, it's a good way to kind of watch somebody go from like one skill level of the game to another. It's an interesting progression to watch.
Right. That was the idea. A lot of people were not on board when I started that, though. They hated it.
Just because you're not playing like the specific way you're supposed to play or things like that.
Well, that's something that happens in almost every Blizzard RTS game that I play, is that people have very specific ways that they play it, and they feel that is the only way to play it. But in particular with StarCraft 2 commentaries, because there was this large kind of explosion of that on YouTube, people were watching the professionals play, and they were watching commentators criticize the way these professionals were playing, and then they come onto my video and watch me play at the Bronze League level, and they just could not stand it.
Oh my God, this is like, yeah, do yourself a favor, never play Dark Souls online, ever. Everybody in the world knows how to play that game, except you.
Yeah, no, I have promised the Souls series, I have promised to do it blind.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
I'm looking forward to a lot of people telling me what to do. Just
like completely ignore comments, get that shit out of your inbox. It'll drive you crazy. Nobody can shut up about spoilers about that game or telling you how to play.
I've dealt with it before. I can deal with it again.
I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you play those games as a big fan myself. But you can trust that I will not be the person in the comments telling you how to play.
Right.
Even though I have beaten Dark Souls 1 and 2 at level 1.
Nice. It's not that I mind it. I don't want to give the impression that I hate anybody that tells me, gives me advice or anything like that. It's just that about 90% of you are cool about it. It's that 10% that is not cool about it that, always kind of sticks in your mind. Yeah. And that sucks.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
But, yeah.
More good people. Leave comments. We like the good people.
Exactly.
So how do you balance, because, okay, so I guess the first would be, when did you decide, I'm going to be a multiple LP guy? Because that seems insane to me.
So that goes back to when I was still doing the StarCraft 2 commentaries. It felt wrong for me to completely abandon the StarCraft 2 while I was transitioning into Let's Play. So the first one that I did was the 7th Saga, and I was still doing it at a time when I was not particularly good at StarCraft 2, and I still wanted to progress more. So I decided that I would try to do both. So I just kind of got a setup going where I could do multiple ones. Part of that had to do with me starting to get burnt out on StarCraft 2 after playing, 100 or so games and doing commentaries on it. But it also was part of it, me not wanting to abandon the fan base that I had built
with
doing
the StarCraft
one thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it kind of launched from there that once I started being able to manage time, then it became a little bit easier for me to do more and more games. So the way that it works now, because I get this question a lot, the way that I do it is that I sit down and I record a week's worth of a single Let's Play in one sitting. Then I, render it into however many videos I need. And then the way that I look at it is if I can do that every night, I can do up to 7 Let's Plays at any given time if I can do a week's worth in a single sitting. And doing that gives me a variety so that I don't get burnt out on any one game, that I can just kind of bounce around, do whatever I kind of feel like that day, with some exceptions. But that's how I kind of manage it. I just do a week's worth in a sitting and upload it throughout the week.
So you mentioned time management. Is that like a skill you've always kind of been good at, or did trying to balance like 5 Let's Plays at once help you develop that skill more?
I would probably say I already had it. I was one of those kids that finished homework during class in high school. So I was kind of always a multitasker.
Gotcha. So, you spend a lot of time on your Let's Plays then, like throughout any given week. And I've noticed that like the nature of a lot of your Let's Plays, they're, I guess more specifically the JRPGs, perhaps, is that they're almost really very encyclopedic and very thorough. Like, you do your best to leave no stone unturned under those. Is that how you've always approached playing games, or is that something you thought was just good for your, like, the LP style that you wanted to go for?
It's the way that I always played it. Probably with the exception of the first time I went through Final Fantasy VII, but outside of that, I've kind of always just wanted to see every nook and cranny of these games, because I quickly found out that there were story points, there were challenges off the beaten path, so I wanted to see what they were and to see if I could do it. And a lot of that has to do with the first RPG that I played being Final Fantasy VII, where the final boss is not the biggest challenge in the game by any means. It's not even close.
Not at all.
So I could go to the end of the game and beat the plot, or I could hang back and defeat these super bosses that if I could beat them, the final boss was a joke.
Yeah,
so,
just roll in with Knights of the Round, have a picnic.
Exactly. So it came kind of from that, but yeah, that's definitely the way that I've always approached a lot of these games. And it has become definitely a style, and anytime I deviate from it, I do hear about it.
Oh, wow.
But it's rare that I do deviate, but every once in a while, a game will kind of rub me the wrong way, and I'll just say, I'm just going to go to the end now.
Oh, yeah. That's not the case for Final Fantasy X, though, correct?
Oh, absolutely not. No. I think, as we're speaking now, today's video, I am going to the end, but that's because That's because I feel like everything else is going to overpower me, so I'll be back. We have a lot to do.
There's a lot of real fun mini games I am really looking forward to.
Oh, geez, yes. Not as bad as the second game, but it's still pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, 200 lightning bolts, chocobo races. I said, F it, I'm out. That is the first time I said no to 100%ing a Final Fantasy.
The only game that I said no to while I was playing it the first time through after Final Fantasy VII was Final Fantasy XII. When I just gave up on trying to find these unique monsters because they just weren't spawning on me quickly enough. So I just abandoned that. But, for the channel, it's something that I haven't done. I want to do it. Just I didn't have the motivation then to do it when I was just doing it by myself.
And you'll have a shiny new version of 12 to play by the time you get to 12, obviously. I mean, assuming that's actually a thing. I'm just kind of assuming at this point that Final Fantasy's kind of a staple in a way.
Exactly.
So, like, continuing with that line of, like, you going as crazy as you do when it comes to 100%ing games, Xenoblade Chronicles? Really? Like, how? How do you do... How in the world? Like, because... Like, that's got to take a hell of a lot of planning and a lot of FAQ digging to make sure you don't miss something in a game that's got, like, 14,000 side quests and, like, so many, like, little icons all over that little map. I remember just being so overwhelmed the first time I played it, and now you're going to 100% it. How do you sit down and record a chunk of that? I
wrote my own walkthrough for that one.
Oh, for real?
I had to write my own walkthrough. Because the only walkthroughs that I could find did not list things like unique comments or even like a good, accurate portrayal of how to do the side quest. They would just tell you when the side quests were available and that you should do it now. So I had to go off of 2 different walkthroughs and just pouring through the wiki, trying to find as much information as I could. And as much as I hope that I'm doing 100%, I've encountered so many things so far that the wiki didn't have right that I'm just not confident that I got it, that I'm getting everything done. But I'm trying to find everything that I can. A lot of the problem with that is that you have to talk to certain people at certain times of the day.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then you don't get the right affinity. And the wiki has been wrong on that probably about a quarter of the time.
It's one of those, keep 1,000 save files handy.
So I'm doing what I can with that, but it started with my own walkthrough. I'm still working on the walkthrough. I'm still not done with it. I have it done through the end of the game, but for the bonus videos, I'm trying to sort out which quest I want to do in which order. But that's how I got that done. The Xeno series has been almost ridiculous when it comes to the bonus videos for me.
Yeah, I remember back in Xenosaga Episode 1 requiring just this insane amount of grinding that you kind of cheated your way through a little bit. But that's okay.
I absolutely cheated, and I'm not ashamed of that because the only cheat that I could find was a max item cheat.
And you still have to sit there hammering the button for hours on end to give the
It was 4
points.
hours. Oh, my thumb was sore for the next few days, and this is me cheating, right?
It's supposed to be easier.
Right? So that was the only cheat I could find that worked. So, yeah, my thumb still, like, cracks every once in a while, and I'm pretty sure that's from Xenosaga.
I remember thinking that, wow, he's like going to read all of the encyclopedia entries in these games, isn't he? And then when I started the Xenoblade Let's Play, this is going to be 100% or close to it. I just kind of threw my hands up. It's like, what? You're a madman. This is going to be done by 2020.
I have no idea how long it's going to take. But I'm at I've recorded through part 213 right now.
This is definitely this is already the longest series on your channel, isn't it?
I mean, not yet.
Not counting StarCraft, of course, because there are a lot of those too.
I did look it up. Skyrim is longer.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Chrono Cross is actually a little bit longer still.
Oh my god.
There were so many bonus videos for that one as well. Yeah. And I believe Fallout 3 is still longer, but Xenoblade is going to beat them all. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah, we've barely scratched the surface at 200 plus episodes with that game.
Right now I'm going through and talking to NPCs because they do have unique dialogue that only takes place at this time. And I realized it's going to take me over 10 episodes just to talk to all the NPCs again.
Oh my god. And you even increased the episode length for this series, didn't you? Because you typically do a nice 15 to 19, 20 minute chunks, but these can be 25 or so.
Yeah, these are at least 20 minutes. So for the main story, I'm trying to do 20 to 25, and then for the side questing episodes, I'm doing 25 to 30.
Good lord!
And yeah, so yeah, I sit down since I'm doing 4 a week. I sit down for 2 hours and play Xenoblade.
And then you're gonna jump right into Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm totally sure of it.
Okay, funny story. I don't have a Wii U, so I can't jump into it. But I do have the game because it was on sale, and I didn't think I was going to get it at a cheaper price. I think it was $40, and I paid $90 for Xenoblade Chronicles, so I figured there was no way I was getting Xenoblade Chronicles X for cheaper than $40. But now I have to find a Wii U, and now they don't make Wii U anymore, so I have to figure out how to get that done. But I'll find a Wii U at some point.
You're not alone in owning games for the Wii U and not owning a Wii U. I own Mario Maker and Splatoon, and I don't own a Wii U.
The problem with the Wii U is that the price never went down.
Not to any significant degree. Not that it would be like, not where I was like okay,
$20.
Yeah,
right. So to me, it's still full price until the end. So I was always waiting for that price drop, and it never happened.
Yeah, like I don't even think I think refurbed models direct from Nintendo were $200 like on the nose, and I like balked at getting one of those too because it was just like I guess there's not enough for me to want to actually buy this console for me to want to play on it, you know? I mean, it's just I got to have more than one or two games for me to kind of invest in a console.
I do know that I will get it. I absolutely will, but one of the problems right now is that's why I promised Dark Souls after Xenoblade is because I only have the one capture device, and I have to move it over to the PS3. So that's pretty much the holdup there, because Demon Souls, as far as I can tell, is only on the PS3. I've checked, double checked. As far as I can tell, it never got a PC port.
Yeah, Sony bankrolled that one, so that one's never going to be anywhere else. Same with Bloodborne? Yes, that's the name.
Bloodborne.
Yes. That one. That hot game that everybody knows.
So that's definitely the holdup there. But yeah, the Wii U. I almost got one when I first bought the Wii because the Xenoblade was more expensive than the Wii I played on.
I'm not surprised.
I got the Wii for $60, the game for $90. I almost got a Wii U at that time because it has the backwards compatibility, but it was still, like $250, I think. Jeez. So I just couldn't do it. It was $60 or $250, and I just couldn't justify it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that one, especially if it's just for one game, which So, moving on, like we mentioned earlier, Final Fantasy has been a pretty big staple of your channel. And I mention this because Final Fantasy was a big staple of my site for a long time because a friend of mine actually kind of went on the very same journey, only he wrote a series of articles about each game as he played through them and how he kind of looked at them afterward years later. He got to 13 and kind of threw his hands up in the air, but I think that's the case for a lot of people, unfortunately. Right. But I guess my point is like, as you've replayed these games, has your thinking on them changed any? Have you gained any new insight into the series, or do you feel that you're kind of like still about on the same level as you were when you originally played them?
Oh no, my thoughts have absolutely changed over the years. Absolutely. So yeah, I started with 7. Mm-hmm. I bought Final Fantasy Origins, which is 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy Chronicles, which is 4 and Chrono Trigger. And then Final Fantasy Anthology, which is 5 and 6. But I never played them all the way through. I played like a half hour of Final Fantasy 1 and decided it was way too different from Final Fantasy 7. So I didn't want to play it. So then I played Final Fantasy 8 instead. There's a whole set of stories that go with Final Fantasy 8. But ultimately, I liked the game a lot. Mm-hmm. So then I tried to go back and play 1 and 2, and I think that was as far as I made it before Final Fantasy IX came out. And then I played 9 and didn't understand what I was playing at all in Final Fantasy IX. So I didn't like it because this wasn't Final Fantasy to me. Final Fantasy to me at the time was Final Fantasy 7 and 8, where it was kind of this kind of industrial society with magic and swords and stuff like that involved in it. So when I went to 9 and it was back to kind of the medieval setting, kind of steampunk type setting, I just completely lost it, and I didn't like 9. But as I've gone through and played them again, I don't like 8 anymore. as much, I should say. I still like it. It's just not nearly as good as I thought it was back then. Mm-hmm. But I really love 9 because 9 is kind of a love letter to Final Fantasies 1 through 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
So I really like Final Fantasy 9 more now, when I did not like it at all when I played it the first time. Because
you didn't have, like, that context of Final Fantasy 1 through 5 kind of being thrown back to.
Exactly. So it was quite a change when I grew up and saw that the more serious Final Fantasies in 7 and 8 weren't necessarily the norm for the series.
Yeah,
they were definitely they're an offshoot. Yeah, they're an aberration kind of in what they were doing, which I think kind of makes Final Fantasy 7 even more significant, as it relates to storytelling in video games, because it was around then that their stories started getting much more heady and thought-provoking in a way. Yeah, I could see that. I would say it started with 6. Yeah, but 7 is what really brought it to the mainstream, I would say. I didn't know anybody growing up that played Final Fantasy 6. Yeah, I had one friend, and me and that friend, we were there day one for Chrono Trigger, and we were there day one for Final Fantasy 3, which would be 6 here, right. Obviously. And that was just kind of like a really cool experience, because we played these dumb weird games with numbers, and everybody else was like, "That's not Mario." Right. I would have been one of them. At the time on the Super Nintendo, like I said, I was into platformers and Wheel of Fortune. And Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. And that game's good. That game's good. I will defend that game. It's about finding children in closets and magic dancing. It's entertaining, but it's not good. I'll defend it as a guilty pleasure. It's dumb fun. Especially if you play the arcade version. It's very silly. The arcade version is actually the best version. Absolutely. I did both versions, I think. Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, I did. I don't know. That was part of the drunken stuff, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Let's drunkenly play another fun feature of the Ballerscuba experience. I haven't had time to do that lately, but I usually do them in bunches, and people think that I'm a drunk at the end of it. I'm no, I just did them one after another. It's fine. I swear, I don't drink every night and record. It's fine. I'm okay. It's okay. They're just a batch. It's okay. Yes. Just one drinking session, one gaming session. Exactly. Oh my lord. Poor Baller. We're going to have to haul him off to AA. Yes, absolutely. I'm such a lightweight, too. Oh, my God. It's good to be a lightweight. It's good to be a lightweight. I'm a cheap date, as it turns out. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means you have more for later. People fail to realize this. It's you go ahead and go slam down 12 beers. I need 2. 2 is actually what I do before I do the drunken series. That's it. That's all it takes. I wait. Yeah, I'm a skinny ass white dude. It takes nothing to get me drunk. All right. Sorry, it's just the way that whole little bit played out there got me. Yes. I swear, I'm not drinking. All right. Well, why not? You need 10 more to go. Yeah, I know. If I'm gonna stand up to actually, amount to anything as a drinker, I need to drink needlessly. Absolutely. Oh Lord. So I'm always curious, because being an audio engineer, I'm always curious about what people use for their setup. So what's your gear and software setup and general workflow? What's that kind of look like? All right, so I have to use different things for different games and stuff like that. So my main thing is Fraps. That's the main one. And that's done with a Blue Yeti microphone, which,
Nice.
if you've seen some of the update videos, there's no mistaking that I'm using a Blue Yeti.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right, it's huge. So that's the main setup. That works for probably 90% of what I do. But for especially the older PC games, Fraps has a really hard time capturing that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think it's recording and it's not. So I had to abandon it. And I go with OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, for that. And then for editing most of it, it's it's all done in Sony Vegas.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. Back in the day, I used to use Windows Movie Maker, which is not good.
No.
The thing that made me switch was the need to crop. Absolutely need to crop, and I couldn't do that. You can't do that in Movie Maker.
No.
Of all the things. Right, it's one of those basic things that for some reason they did not include.
How's that not in there? That's a basic function of any video editing software.
Exactly. So it was whatever I got on the footage, that's what you guys are going to see. So that I needed to move over to something, and I picked Sony Vegas. For the console stuff, though, anything that I have to get off the capture card, so anything off the PlayStation 2 or the Wii, I have Elgato Game Capture HD. It works all right. It was good for the price, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the hard thing about that is that, of course, that doesn't record my audio. So I have to use Audacity for that and sync it up and all that.
Syncing. Oh, man, that's always a fun little job, isn't it?
It's actually a lot easier once I figured out some kind of system for it, which is that I just cycle through the menus, left, right, and I say left, right, left, right.
That's smart. There you go. Just always create an audio cue.
Exactly. And so once that's set up, since I got the new computer, it's never desynced on me as far as I can tell.
No, I can't say that I've seen any desyncing, and I'm sure that your commenters would let you know, because YouTube commenters are good about letting you know something's wrong.
And I do rely on them sometimes, because a lot of times I won't have time to watch one of my videos once it's done all the way through. I just kind of skim through it.
No, because you put out so much content that asking you, you've already played this content.
Right.
So,
I watch it twice, right? I do it while I'm doing it, and then I do it when I'm editing it. Once it's done, I'm assuming it's good.
Yeah.
Right.
If something effed up on export, oh, well.
Sorry. I'll see if I can fix it. I always keep the raw files until the footage goes up.
Smart move. Always keep backups, people. If you're going to be an aspiring Let's Player, or you're going to do anything involving video editing at all, until you are absolutely sure you're finished with that footage, keep it.
Exactly.
So, Let's Play critic, Mr. Scuba.
Okay.
What's your best Let's Play? If I'm going to send everybody from this podcast to your channel right here and right now, you got to pick one. What are they watching?
I got to pick one.
You got to pick one. Your favorite.
Oh, man. Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, I just watched that one the other day again and thought, holy fuck, that's a good introduction.
And you know what? It wasn't popular. I get that a lot of people were doing it at the time, but I had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Battletoads is another good one.
Oh, jeez.
Just watching that game rake you over the coals.
Oh, my God.
But you never lost heart. You never lost heart. You just always stayed positive through it, which I think that's kind of like, because a lot of people, I think, it's easy to give in to the rah, rah, now I'm going to scream and cuss a lot. And you just, you have a very positive attitude about things. I'm going to do it. It just takes a few tries. Absolutely. Just a few.
Just a few. Well, Battletoads was 126, but there were... I don't know how you can beat that game without cheating. I've seen people do it. I still don't know how you do it.
I've only did it once, and that was when I was much younger and much more patient.
All right.
I'm 36 now. I don't have that patience anymore. Give me games with infinite lives and decent checkpoints, quick respawns like Super Meat Boy, and I'm good to go.
That was one of the best things about Super Meat Boy, was those quick respawns where it felt like a death was not the end of the world.
Like anything you lose in Super Meat Boy is wiped away within just a split second. That game would not work if that game had loading times.
Right, if they give you 5 lives and you had to watch the counter go down to 4, you would just rage quit so quickly.
Oh my god. Still,
that
see speedrunners tear that game apart 100% though. It's real. It makes you feel real bad.
That's actually one of my proudest achievements, is getting the Golden God achievement on Super Meat Boy.
Yes.
And I still look at the achievement list every once in a while, and I see that I have to go through an entire world without dying for some of these achievements, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do that.
Cotton Alley, no deaths. Cotton Alley, no deaths. Let's go. Come on.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
I still have nightmares from time to time of that song.
Oh, but that's level. I think that is so. that has got to be on purpose. There's no way that song being the way it is and the visuals being so cheery. It's there's no way that's not psychologically just on purpose.
That was definitely on purpose. They meant to haunt you with that. No, you're supposed to be happy. This is impossible.
And I love that it's Bandage Girl too. It's you're not even Meat Boy anymore. So you're the cute, pretty little girl oh no, it's still a Death Mountain. It's just a whole lot more of it.
Exactly. It's so difficult. It took me... I think somebody did go through that video and count how many times I said fuck on the final. It was over 100, and it's only a 20-minute video. So
you're managing a fuck every 5 seconds.
Something ridiculous.
At that point, the word fuck has stopped being a word, and it's just a comma.
Oh, but I meant every last one that I said.
I could tell. Your heart was in every single fuck. And if you can't put your heart into fucking, what can you put your heart into, right? Am I right?
That came out differently than I think you meant it to.
I think everything about the last 30 or 45 seconds probably came out differently than we intended it to. So again, with the critic's hat, what's a Let's Play that you think, I wish I could have had another swing at that?
Oh, there are a couple. Nothing that I would say that I regret, right?
Nah. Right, I think that across the board, your stuff is solid across the board.
Well, thank you. There were definitely a couple that I felt I didn't do justice to. Final Fantasy III comes to mind because of the way I didn't have the technical prowess to really edit that one properly.
Get it framed properly with the DS.
The DS makes things awkward, and I feel like I could. I know I can handle it a lot better now. So the way that it was done it is a little disappointing to me now. Other ones, I would say that I wish I knew more about the game before I walked into it. Morrowind comes to mind, and Dragon Age Origins comes to mind, where I just wish I knew more. Fallout 3 too, but that was my first ever Western RPG in that style.
And those games are just big and sprawling, and it's kind of hard to know everything about those games going in, or even going through a second or third time. Those games are huge.
Yeah. But Dragon Age Origins in particular, I wish I had known about the battle system, because I went in expecting Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, no.
And as I'm going through, I'm getting more and more disappointed with the way the battle system ends up working, to the point where I'm just pausing every 5 seconds to issue orders. Yeah. So I wish I had known that going in, so I could have been prepared, and it wouldn't have been as much of a letdown for me.
I got you. Right. Well, Mr. Scuba, I'm going to go ahead and start winding things down here. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we piece the hell on out of here?
Nothing necessarily comes to mind off the top of my head.
All right, well, why don't you tell everybody where we can find you and keep up with you and all that stuff across your YouTube channel, social media, and stuff.
You can find me on YouTube, Ballerscuba. If you type that in, you'll find about 6,000 videos that I have done over the years. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Ballerscuba there. Pretty much anywhere you think I might be, if there's a Ballerscuba, that's me.
It's probably him.
Nobody else that I know of has taken my name except for League of Legends. But outside of that, it's always me.
I have to imagine the name Ballerscuba comes from your illustrious blitzball career.
Actually comes from basketball.
Oh,
believe it or not.
Well, I imagined it had something to do with basketball. I was just making a very bad joke there.
Well, I apparently am very good at blitzball. I didn't realize I was that much better than other people at it. But people told me that's impossible, and then I had no problem. But it came from basketball. The scuba part comes from the movie Big Daddy. If you remember that movie with Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Remember the kid had a doll, and it was Scuba Steve.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going.
And then my name's Steven, so they called me Scuba Steve. And then when I was playing basketball, they said, "Hey, Scuba Steve's a baller."
He's a baller.
It kind of stopped.
Nice.
Yes, absolutely. This was a long time ago when that name was still, baller just, wasn't ironic.
Yeah. I don't know. I still say things are fucking baller, and I mean every word of it. Well, every word of that one word. I mean every word of that word. I swear I'm not drinking. I swear. Well, Mr. Scuba, you have been a fantastic guest. I hope you enjoyed your time here as well. And again, thank you very much for taking time to indulge, a nobody essentially, in the grand scheme of things. And I appreciate you taking me up on the offer to have this chat.
Oh, anytime. Thanks for having me.
And that is going to do it for this episode of the Sockscast. I've been Polly, and I've been joined, as always, by my far too generous for accepting an invitation to appear on this podcast, special guest Ballerscuba.
Hi. Wait, bye.
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you got it. I'm confused. Don't worry, we'll fix it in post.
They never fix it in post.
Never, ever.
If I say that, don't believe me.
I've never fixed a goddamn thing in post. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We hope you laughed. We hope you learned. We hope you tune in again next time. Thanks for listening.